Good afternoon. Today's shir is for Refuah Shalema for Yehuda Chaim ben Esther Sarah. Refuah Shalema for the little baby, my dear friend. And Havla Chaim Chaim, it's Nishmas, my dear younger brother Shlomo Zalman, ben Rav Pesach Moshe, Gesei Anim Zeches Halig Avracha, my younger brother, who passed away at the age of 64. And, the life is like a cup of coffee, Elisheva. You have hot water, you have cold milk, bitter sediment, sweet sugar, and all mixed together. Right? That's what it is, unfortunately. I said life is like a cup of coffee. Hot water, cold milk, bitter sediment, sweet sugar, all mixed together. Right, Larry? That's the way life is, right? Now, my brother honored his parents, our parents, very much. But he lived to be 64. It's very strange. The Torah tells us in the Ten Commandments, honor your parents, L'man yarichan yamecha, that your days will be long. Now, it doesn't say your years will be long. It says, L'man yarichan yamecha. Doesn't say shanim, doesn't say your years will be long. It doesn't say leman yosifan yamecha. It doesn't say surely your years will be increased or your days will be increased. It says leman yarichan yamecha. Your days will be what? Long. My brother's days were very long. The Torah kept her promise. He got up at 5:30 in the morning to give a daf yomi. Then he davened shachwas, ran to the hospital until midnight. He was helping people, reading x-rays, diagnosing. So the Torah kept her promise. My brother's days were very long, packed with chesed and mitzvot. Torah doesn't say long years or increased days. It says, Yarichan yamecha, and my brother's days were very long, packed with chesed, Torah, ma'asim tovim. Now, there's a pasuk in Mishlei, Tov shochein Karov ma'ach rachok. A pasuk in Mishlei, Tov shochein karov ma'ach rachok. So the Pashup shot is that a close neighbor is better than what? Than a distant brother. That's the pasuk in Mishlei Avi. Tov shochein karov ma'ach rachok. A close neighbor is better than a distant brother. But Rav Machlis, he gave me another pshat. Tov shochein karov. A close shochein is good. It's good to have a close neighbor. But no matter how good a close neighbor is, he's still rachok from a brother. He's still far away from a brother. You hear the pshat there that Rabbi Machlis said? Tov shochein karov ma'ach rachok. Right? A close neighbor is very good, but no matter how close a neighbor is, he's still far removed from what? From a brother. From a brother. You ever wonder why Olam Haba is called Gan Eden? Why is Olam Haba called Gan Eden? What does Gan mean? How does my garden grow? Right? Because the neshama continues to grow in Olam Haba, even though my brother can no longer do any mitzvot. But by dedicating the shir in his memory, Nishma Shlomo Zalman, Rabbi Pesach Moshe, Zechron Lavracha, and saying Kaddish, my brother's neshama continues surely to grow. And therefore the afterlife in Hebrew is called a Gan. Gan Eden. Neshama continues to grow. Today's shir is called The Iron Ladies of the Exodus. The Iron Ladies of the Exodus, Leil Nishma Tzvi Dov Ben Chaim Pesach also. If you take a look at side number 1, the Iron Ladies of the Exodus, this week's Parsha, Shelley, this week's Parsha, side number 1, Vayakel, first to the wide lines, Vayaset Akior Nechoshet, Tekana Nechoshet. Betzalel fashioned the wash basin of copper, the Marat HaTzavot, in the mirrors of the armies. That's what it says. Strange pasuk. Mirrors of the armies. Those days, mirrors were not made out of glass, Avi. They were made out of brass. Copper, they shined them up. And you needed brass in the Mishkan to fashion what? the wash basin. So Bezalel made the wash basin where the Kohanim would wash their hands and feet before they approached the Mizbeach, b'marat hatzavot. Rashi wonders, what does that mean, b'marat hatzavot? Mirrors of the armies. So Rashi, see Rashi, it's underlined on the right side, b'marat hatzavot.
The same word Hebrew and English, the mirror.
Well, the French, well, Rashi will bring you the French.
The mirror.
Right.
The Hebrew word is mirror.
No, the Hebrew word is marot. The French word is mirror. We'll get to it.
Look at the letters.
B'marat hatzavot.
Memory shallow.
So Rashi says, Rashi chet on the right side, you have that, Shelley? B'marat hatzavot. Benot Yisrael hoya b'yodan marot sharois behen kemes kashtos. The Jewish women, they had mirrors, which they would put on makeup, make themselves pretty. Vaf otol ikvu b'lahavim l'nivas hamishkan. And even a personal item like a mirror, which is very precious to a woman, when the call came to donate copper and brass, the women ran with their mirrors. V'oyemoes Moshe behen. Moshe Rabbeinu said, Feh. How do you say that in English? Feh. Go away. Gevek. Bipnei shasim layetzahana. You ladies use those mirrors to make yourself sexy, to entice men. You want to bring that to the Mishkan? Get lost. Avamidus. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So God said to Moses, take a pill and lie down. Let me straighten you out. You have that gold. It's incredible. Kabel. You must accept the mirrors from these ladies. Ke'elu chavivin alai min hakol. These mirrors that you want to reject are more precious to me, said God, than any gold the chief rabbi would bring. Shal yidehem emidu anoshim tzavois rabbis mitzrayim. These mirrors caused an army of Jewish babies to be born. Marat hatzavot means the mirrors caused an army of Jewish babies to be born. Why? I'm reading Rashi, it's underlined in yellow there. Koshahoya ba'alein yigim bevodas perach. You have that, Ephraim? Hoya holchois malichois machol mishteh. The men were crushed by the back-breaking labor. I'm reading Rashi Chet. The men were crushed, and even at night, the mitzvah would not let the husbands come home. So there you have the solution to the Jewish problem. The husbands are broken physically and emotionally. They can't even go home to their wives. We've solved the Jewish problem. No babies, no Jewish people. But what did the women do? The women would sneak out to the fields. In one hand, they had a picnic basket. In the other hand, they had what, Avi? A makeup kit. You hear this? And what would they do? They would give their husbands to eat and drink, and then they would put on sexy makeup. Umatoch kach, Rashi, the top column on the left side, golden. Mitoch kach meviot lebaleim yedei tava. You see now, you the top Rashi in the left column? They would bring their husbands to tava. What does tava mean? Sexual desire. Say what? And they would have sexual relations out there in the field. Umisabro teyodosham. Shenemar, there's a pasuk in Shir Hashirim, Tachas atapuach oiwarticha. Song of Songs says, underneath the apple tree I aroused you. Remember the Andrew sisters? Don't sit under the apple tree with anybody but me. Anyone else but me. Where the Andrew sisters get that, Shelley? Shir Hashirim, Chet. Tachas atapuach oiwarticha. The Jewish wife says to her husband, get this, Larry. Underneath the apple tree I aroused you sexually. And an army of Jewish babies were born. So therefore, God tells Moses that these mirrors that you say feh are more precious to me than what? Than any gold a chief rabbi would bring. Because these mirrors caused an army of Jewish babies to be born. Moshe couldn't see that. Mirrors, sexy, feh, yetzara. But Jewish women, Yochanan, what did they do? They sanctified the sex act. They moved it up, moving on up. Therefore, the act of getting married, Larry, is called kiddushin. Strange to call a sex act kiddushin. You know, when you say to your kala, Harei at mekudeshet li. Avi, how come the kala doesn't say it to the chassan? Women's lib. Why does the chassan say, Harei at mekudeshet li? How come the kala doesn't say it? My Rebbe Rapam Zatzal said, you know what the chassan is saying to the kala? Harei at mekudeshet li, bishvilach ani mekadesh hayetz hara sheli. It is, Shirley. That's why the husband, the chassan says, Harei b'kadesh li, because of you, you're my better half, you are going to sanctify my yetzer hara. Because of you, sweetheart, my sexual desire will become what? Holy. Therefore, the chassan talks to the kala, not the other way around. Yiddish of Abraham. Harei b'kadesh li b'shvilach, sweetheart, ani mekadesh hayetz hara sheli. Moshe couldn't see that. Moses, the Av Nevi'im. These Jewish women have a bina yetena, more than the greatest prophet. Where they get that ability to think outside the box, which even Moses didn't have. Very strange. Very strange. Now, if you turn over to side 2, it gets even stranger. See, Perik Bet Pasuk Aleph, Vayelech ish mi Bet Levi. A man went from the house of Levi. Who's the man? Amram. Where did he go? If you look at the footnote, Yehuda, Torah Tamim, Vayelech ish lehechen halach. Where did he go? See the footnote, Torah Tamima? He went and followed the advice of what? Of his daughter. Tony, Amram, Amram, the father of Moses, was the chief rabbi. Once Paroi decreed that all Jewish baby boys would be thrown into the river, he got up and he what? He divorced his wife. Why have babies, Masha, but wind up in Auschwitz, the bottom of the river? So once the chief rabbi divorced his wife, the Hasidim divorced her. Why have babies that wind up in Auschwitz? There you have the solution to the Jewish problem, Shirley. No Jewish babies, no Jewish people. Amdu kulam. You have to do the Goshet and Shehem. They all got up and divorced their wives. Solution to the Jewish problem. Amr loy bitoi, little Miriam. How was 6 years old, Ephraim? You following the Gemara here? Torah Tamima? Little Miriam said, Abba. What's the next word, Ephraim? Gizarticha kosher mishel paro. Mommy, by divorcing mommy, your decree is worse than Stalin. I mean, worse than Paroi. Avram, why? Paroi la gazer el ascharim. Pharaoh only decreed what? Against the baby boys. V'ata gazat ascharim al nekevot. But by divorcing mommy, you what? Even the girls won't be born. She said, Abba, you're worse than Stalin. Abba, you understand this? She's a 6-year-old girl speaking to the chief rabbi of Israel, Amram. He could have said, go have your milk and cookies. Go play with your dolls in romper. Remember romper room? Yeah. What are you telling me? I'm the chief rabbi of Israel. Go, do you hear this? No. What happened? He listened to her and he remarried her. Who was born? Moses. If it wasn't for little Miriam, Avram, the Redeemer and the lawgiver, would never be born. Little Miriam knew better than what? Than the chief rabbi of Israel. It's very... Little Miriam. Now, why is the Talmud telling me this, Shelley? Talmud doesn't tell me stories. The Torah is God's GPS. God's personal system, Larry. What's the message? Listen to your kids, especially your little girls. They have a bina yetera. Yiddish Yochanan. They can see more clearly. They have this ability that even a great rabbi doesn't have. So these Jewish women knew better than Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe rejected the mirrors and God said, accept them, they're more precious to me because the women know how to what? Use their charms to elevate the sexual drive, to make it holy. Even Moses couldn't relate to that. And here, Amram divorced his wife. Why have babies? They'll wind up in the bottom of the river. And she said, you're worse than Paroi, because at least Paroi only decreed on boy babies. By divorcing mommy, even the girls won't be born. He listened to her, and what happened, Ephraim? Moshe Rabbeinu was born, right? So where do the women have this incredible, what's it called, Golda? The fifth sense? Huh? The fifth dimension. The fifth sense that even Moses and Amram didn't have. Masha, where does it come from? Of course from Hashem, but how does it work, Elisheva? So the Zohar Kodesh says something incredible. The Zohar Kodesh says something incredible. You listening? Isha. Ish means husband. You have a yud. Isha means wife. So what do you have? You have a yud and a hey. In every Jewish marriage, they say three's a crowd. Three's a crowd. No, in every Jewish marriage, Reb Nachum, there's what? There's three. Ish has a yud. Isha has a hey. Yud hey. If you take God out of the marriage, what are you left with, Larry? Fire. Not good. That's the Talmud in Sota 12. But the Zohar takes it, Ephraim, one step further. Ish, husband. So his godly power is the Yud. It's embedded in the middle of the word. Aleph Yud Shin, it's stuck in the middle. So therefore, a man, his godly power is stuck. It's in between the Aleph and the Shin. So he can only, I think it's called in English, tunnel vision. Tunnel vision. His godly power is the Yud. It's inside the word. So he can only what? Plow along. He cannot think outside the box. I think it's tunnel vision. Isha, says the Zohar, her godly power, surely, the hey is where? At the end of the word. It's outside. So she can see and think outside of the box. She can see what even Moses and Amram didn't see, because her godly power is not fenced in, Cecil. It's, hey, Ishat's outside. The incredible ability to think outside of the box and to know that God would appreciate these mirrors that raised up an army of what? Of Jewish babies. Now, if you go to your sheets, Rashi, on side number 1 on the left side, we call it mirrors. You see Rashi at the bottom of the page? I think you have it underlined. It says mirrors balaz. You see that? The last two lines to the left column in Rashi on side number 1 on the bottom. You see that, Elisheva? What does it say there? Is it underlined, Yud, or not?
Yes.
Is it highlighted in yellow?
Highlight in yellow.
Mirrors balaz. You have that? Larry, Rashi, you know, French scholars, they want to learn Old French. What do, Shelley? They read Rashi. So Rashi 1,000 years ago said that the French word for marot is what? Mirrors. Mirrors balaz. 1,000 years ago in Old French, how would you say mirrors? Mirrors. Pretty amazing, huh? Pretty. So women have this incredible ability. Therefore, women have this bina yetera, because their godly power, Avi, is Isha. The hey, the godly power is outside. She's not boxed in. She can see on a clear day. You can, Larry. You can see forever. Only the wife can do that. Therefore, throughout Jewish history, who saved the Jewish people?
The women.
The women. I'll prove to you the iron ladies of the Exodus. Now, the Zohar Kodesh says that Yaakov's wives were called Neshei Barzel, not Maggie Thatcher. 3,000 years before Maggie Thatcher. The Zohar HaKodesh says that Yaakov's wives were called Nishei Barzel, iron ladies. The word Barzel, Larry, is an acronym. FBI, CIA, LAX. Barzel. Remember, Yaakov had 4 wives. The Bet stands for what? Bilhah. You counting? The Resh stands for what? Rachel. The Zion stands for what? Zilpah. And the Lamed stands for what? Leah. So Yaakov's wives were the iron ladies. But it doesn't just stop with Yaakov's wives. All of the Jewish women had iron wills in Egypt. The men were ready to throw in the towel and call it quits. The women took the bull by the horns and they said, no, we're not going to let it happen. We're going to make ourselves sexy and pretty and entice you underneath the apple tree. No one else but me. The Andrews sisters, they must have studied Shir HaShirim, surely. They spoke perfect Yiddish, you know that. Now, the Zohar speaks about the 7 heroines of the Exodus. Number 1 was Yocheved. Who was Yocheved? The mother of what? Moshe. Number 2 is Miriam, who saved him in the water. Number 3 is Shifra and Pua, the 2 what? Midwives. Number 5 is Batya Bat Paro. Right? Batya Bat Paro, the daughter of Stalin. She saved Moshe. Number 6 is Tzipporah. Tzipporah. Remember? They stopped in Motel 6 on the way, and God wanted to what? Finish Moses off for whatever reason. Who circumcised the baby and saved his life? Tzipporah. And number 7, Serach Bat Osher, the original Iron Lady. Serach Bat Osher, who was she? Avram. She was the granddaughter of Yaakov Avinu. Now remember, she was the granddaughter of Yaakov Avinu, Serach Bat Osher. Joseph made the brothers swear that don't leave home without me. They won't leave Cairo without his body. The Mitzvah knew about that promise. So they buried the body at the bottom of the Nile River. 200 years later, Reb Nachum, the Jews are ready to go. No one knows where the body of Yosef is. And they can't go without him. Don't leave home without me, because take a look at the end of Parshas Vayechi, Reb Nachum. Joseph made the brothers swear, you will not leave Cairo without me. The Mitzvah knew that. They hid the body, some in the bottom of the Nile River. But 200 years later, all of those people that remembered where Yosef was sunk are all dead, except Serach Bat Osher. She was no spring chicken. She was over 210 years old. The original Iron Lady. She said to Moshe Rabbeinu, you want to know where Joseph is? I'll show you. She showed him where at the Nile River Yosef was buried. So she's the original what? Iron Lady of the Exodus. Over 210 years old. So without her, the Jews ain't going nowhere, because without her, they don't know what Joseph's body is. They can't break a promise. Now, Shifra and Pua, Rashi says that they were alias Miriam and Yocheved. But the Klayakar says that Shifra and Pua were Egyptian midwives, not like Rashi. Shifra and Pua were Egyptian midwives who defied the king, risked their lives to save Jewish babies. They were the original Raoul Wallenberg. Now, please hear me well.
Or like we saw yesterday, Irma Sendler.
The original Irma Sendler, right? The righteous woman of the Auschwitz. So Shifra and Pua, according to Klayakar, he does not agree with Rashi. They were Egyptian non-Jewish midwives, defied the king like Irena Sendler. In yesterday's film, Masha made me cry. This non-Jewish woman risked her life to what? Save 2,500 Jewish children she saved. Irena Sendler. And Wallenberg saved my mother and 100,000 other Jews. Perhaps they learned from whom? Shifra and Pua. Heroes, heroines. If it wasn't for Wallenberg, my mother wouldn't make it and I wouldn't be here. So it wasn't for Irena Sendler, 2,500 Jewish children wouldn't be here. It wasn't for Shifra and Pua, who knows how many thousands of Jewish babies would have wound up where, Avram? In the bottom of the Nile River. Isn't that incredible? The courage.
And all their descendants.
And all their descendants. That's right. And all their descendants. Nachon? Right?
Yes.
So we have to pay tribute to these righteous Gentiles. Just incredible how history keeps repeating themselves over and over again. Now, Moshe Rabbeinu, saved by his sister, saved by the daughter of Paroi, right? Saved by his wife, and Moshe Rabbeinu, he's always saved by women. His mother, his sister, Batya Bas Paro, his wife. Without women, Moses ain't going nowhere. He won't be anywhere. Now, isn't it strange, Larry, that Moshe is the son of two mothers? Yochanan, you know that?
Yeah.
How many mothers can you have? The Torah says that Moshe Rabbeinu had two mothers. His birth mother and the one that adopted and raised him. The Talmud says that you adopt a baby and you raise him, it's like what? You gave birth to him. So why did divine providence go to want that Moshe should have two mothers and two cultures? Where was Moshe raised?
In the castle.
In the palace, surrounded by the lap of luxury. He went to probably Cairo University, right? So it's strange that the lawgiver, the Redeemer, should have two mothers and two cultures. What's the game plan? He grew up as a prince of Egypt, and then he became a fugitive. What's God's plan over here? Why? Why did he have to grow up as a prince in Egypt, in the palace? So Evan Ezra says, if he grew up in the slime pits with the Jewish people, and God would make him the Redeemer, they'd say, who are you? You're the kid with the runny nose. I remember you. Get out of here. So therefore, Evan Ezra says he had to grow up in the palace to acquire leadership skills and respect. Because he grew up as a fellow slave. Why would the Jews take orders from him? Get lost. Grew up as a prince, not as a slave. He went to the best schools to acquire leadership skills to become the leader and gain the respect of all. And he knew how Egyptian politics works because he grew up there in the lap of luxury, so he knew how to speak to Paroi. He's an inside man. You hear how divine providence, Ephraim? He had to grow up dafka in the palace.
Went to the Wharton School of Business.
Right? Then he had to flee to Midian. He became a fugitive. He no longer belongs in the palace as a prince. Why? Remember, Zisel, where was his first bicycle? Who bought him his first bike? His uncle, what's his name? Ramses, right? Who bought him his first playpen? Right? So Moshe Rabbeinu might become very attached to what? To Ramesses. And the royalty, his first playpen, his bike. So therefore he had to become what? A fugitive. He had to become a fugitive. He had to grow up in Egypt to learn how Egyptian politics works, to acquire leadership skills. The Jewish people should respect him. You're a fellow slave in the slime pits. Why am I taking orders from you? Get lost. You grew up in the palace. Oh, a prince in Egypt. But he might become too attached to Egyptian culture. So he had to become a fugitive and run away. He no longer belongs in the palace. He no longer belongs in Midian. Now he belongs what? To the Jewish people. Avram, you see the game plan over here? God was grooming him all along, but every one of us, God is grooming for a special mission. No one can do it my way. Now, Moshe Rabbeinu in Exodus 2 is described as an Ish Mitzri. The greatest prophet who ever lived, spoke to God face to face. In Exodus 2, he's called Ish Mitzri. What does Ish Mitzri mean? Egyptian man. In Devarim 33, he's called Ish Elohim. Go to make up your mind. Is he, Exodus 2, an Egyptian man, or is he Deuteronomy 33, Ish Elohim? He's what? He's both. Moshe Rabbeinu mirrors the spiritual struggle that we all go through, Rabbi Yaakov. Sometimes I act like an Ish Mitzri, Nebuch, but sometimes I act as Ish Elohim. It's the struggle. You can't win them all. You win some, you lose some. So hopefully we act Ish Elohim, but sometimes we can't help but acting like Ish Mitzri. So what? Don't give up. Moshe is called Ish Mitzri sometimes, Ish Elohim. That's the struggle of Israel, from Ish Mitzri to Ish Elohim. Moshe's struggle, Avi, is my struggle. What a powerful message. Moshe's struggle is my struggle. We all have to struggle with the Mitzri inside of us. Yaakov Avinu, who was he fighting with? Who was he struggling with? Malach. Which Malach was it? The Yetzer Hara. We all fight with the Yetzer Hara. We have to understand that. And we have to know that. So Moshe Rabbeinu saved the Jewish people. But if it wasn't for the righteous women, what? Forget about it. The women have this unbelievable Bina Yetera. Now, all of the Kalim in the Mishkan, Abraham, all the vessels, all had specific weight and measure and size. The Aron, the Shulchan, the Mizbeach. A guy comes to Betzalel, listen Betzalel, do me a favor, here's my gold Rolex watch. Can you melt it down and put it into the ark? You need gold, or into the golden table, or into the gold menorah. So what would Betzalel say? Sorry, Charlie, you're too late. It's too late. The ark, the menorah, the table, the Mizbah, all have specific size, weights, and measures. You came too late. The only vessel in the Mishkan that did not have Avraham a specific weight, size, and measure was the Kior. The wash basin. Look at side number 1, Shelley. Again, we're going back to the text. I'm a text man. Vayaset Akior. Nechoshet v'kana nechoshet. See, Pasuk Chet, I think it's underlined in yellow, the second wide line. Avram, you have that? Yes. This is the only vessel that did not have what? Specific weight, size, and measurement. The only one. Shishada Kawinky Dinky? I don't think so. Because what was the most precious vessel in the Mishkan? The Kior. Rashi says, God said it's more beloved to me than any other vessel. Because this wash basin was made out of the brass mirrors of the ladies who used those mirrors to entice hubby underneath the apple tree and make an army of Jewish babies. So God says, without these mirrors, no Jewish babies, no Jewish people. Who am I going to give the Torah to? So therefore, Evan Ezra explains that even 33 years later, a woman would discover a mirror in an attic. She would take down her mirror. Oh, but Salel, 33 years ago, I built a Mishkan. He would have no choice but what? Accept it and growing. How do you say it? Going and going. The Kior would expand whenever a woman, 40 years later, would bring her brass mirror. Betzalel would have to what? Bang it into the Kior. Because God would not refuse the gifts of the Jewish women. But all the other vessels, chief rabbi brings gold, you're too late. The menorah, the shulchan, the aron could not be an ounce overweight or a foot too long, get lost, except the kior. And that's the vessel that Moshe didn't want the women. He said, no, moesh. Moesh, Moshe Rabbeinu. Moesh in Hebrew, in Yiddish means feh. Feh, F-E-H. You say that in Hebrew, moesh. And God said, Moses, take a pill and lie down. Let me straighten you out about something. Wow. So women have this incredible courage to think outside of the box, but they're not boxed in because their godly power, the hay is outside. They're not fenced in. Now, there's an amazing Rashi. Remember at the Shirat Hayam, the men sang to God. The women also sang to God, but they also played the hey, Mr. Tambourine Man. The men only sang. The women, it says they played drums and tambourines. Says Rashi, something incredible. Where are you going to get tambourines and drums? Where? In the Sinai Desert.
Sam Goody's down the street.
Says Rashi, while the men were busy emptying out the jewelry stores, the women were raiding the Sam Goody store. Remember Sam Goody? For the tambourines and drums. Why? So Rashi says something incredible. The righteous Jewish women knew that a Kodesh Baruch Hu loves to be serenaded, not just by song, but by what? Musical instruments. Even Moses didn't know that. He thought, la, 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 la. That's enough. Rashi says, incredible. The Jewish women who didn't have prophecy, they knew, says Rashi, that the highest form of praising God is not just by song, but by accompanying musical instrument. Moses didn't know that. The Jewish women knew that.
The Jews make the best musicians.
And King David learned to play music from whom? Not from the men, from the women and the Levites. That the highest form of serving God is not just singing, but playing music. Therefore, in the temple, twice a day, Shoshana, you don't have to go to Carnegie Hall. Twice a day, including Shabbos, Rabbi Chaim Eliyahu. Twice a day. During the Korban Tamid Shal Shachar, in Tamid Shal Bein Arbayim, you had what? A whole orchestra. You don't have to go to Carnegie Hall. You have a whole orchestra. The whole city of Jerusalem had free concerts. The Levites played every morning, every afternoon, including Shabbos. Where they learn from, Shirley? From Moses?
From the women.
From the women.
There were a lot of
The
things.
women had to learn.
Well, on Shabbat.
The women had to learn
What?
also from someone. And why, if they...
No, that's the Bina Yetera. Rashi says they learn from their Bina Yetera. How do you say that in English? Women's intuition.
Right. They go...
Because of the letter Hey is outside.
Okay.
Isn't that incredible?
Why can't we play instruments?
On Shabbos?
Yeah.
In the Beis HaMikdash, they lit the menorah on Shabbos. Can you light a menorah on Shabbos? In the Beis HaMikdash, they burned incense on Shabbos. Allowed to burn incense on Shabbos, Abraham? They shechted more sheep on Shabbos than Wednesday. Don't try this at home. See, God makes the rules, Shoshana. Now, the Kohen, when he got off duty, could he light the menorah in his living room on Shabbos? No. Chilul Shabbat. But when the Kohanim did their duty in the Mikdash, they were what? I think it's called extraterritorial. They were like, the Beis HaMikdash was located physically in Temple Mount, but actually it was where?
Space.
It was,
Parallel.
you know what the example is? The Israeli embassy in Washington. Where is it located, Ephraim? In Washington. But its territory is what? Israel. You know that? If Jonathan Pollard could have run in there, he wouldn't be in jail for 35 years. The Israeli embassy is located in Washington, but it's make-believe Israel territory. The same thing with the Mikdash, even though physically it was located in the physical world, but it was like... So therefore, when the Kohanim were on duty, Abraham, the laws of Shabbat didn't apply. But when they went home, the laws of Shabbat did apply. So God makes the rules. The same God that says, don't light my fire in my house on Shabbos, commanded the Kohanim on duty to light the menorah on Shabbos, and to burn incense on Shabbos, and play music on Shabbos. See, God makes the rules. It's divine wisdom. Can my little pea brain figure out divine wisdom, Avi? Don't even try, right? That's pretty amazing. So, now, it says, in the Shema, twice a day, you shall love God b'chol levavcha. What does that mean?
Both sides of your heart.
What?
Both sides of your heart.
Levavcha means hearts. Now, if you look at Art Scroll, it'll say, Shoshana, love God with your heart. You gotta have heart. But it says, b'levavcha, you shall love God with your hearts. The Hebrew says hearts. But the last time you take a chest x-ray, Beinish, I think there's only one heart there. So Rashi quotes the Midrash, b'chol levavcha, b'shnei yitzrecha. Physically, you only have one heart. But spiritually, you have two impulses. You have your good impulse, and you have your evil impulse. You have to love and serve God, not just with your goody two-shoe side. That's no trick. You have to love God with your evil impulse. How do you do that? How do you do that? The lady showed the way. You make yourself sexy and pretty, not for the milkman, not for the mailman, but for what? For your hubby. If you make yourself sexy and pretty for your hubby, when he comes home at night, you should be dressed to kill. You are what? Loving God with your evil impulse. Larry, please hear me well. I wouldn't repeat this unless I heard it from Rabbi Miller. Rigda Miller, you heard of him? He said, we live in an upside down world, he said. I wouldn't repeat it unless I heard it from him. He said, we live in an upside down world. In the house, the woman walks around it with rollers and cold cream and a house coat when the husband comes home. She opens the door, she's wearing a flabby house coat, cold cream, curlers in her hair. But when she goes out into the street, she dresses to kill. Sexy to the nines. Said, Avigdor Miller, what are you doing? When you go out into the street, you should wear a house coat with cold cream on your face. When hubby comes home at night, said the great Avigdor Miller, she should be as sexy as hell when hubby comes home. But it's an upside down world. But these Jewish women knew the right side up, not upside down. They made themselves sexy and pretty for hubby. They sanctified and elevated their Yetzer Hara. Harayat Mukudeshes Li. Thanks to you, sweetheart, I am sanctifying my sexual desire. Therefore, the hubby said it under the chuppah, not the wife. But, you know, we live in an upside-down world, Ephraim, you know? Oilam hafuch. Cafe hafuch. Now, I'll tell you, who knows Hebrew here very good? Anybody know Hebrew very good here?
You, Rabbi.
Anybody else? V'haftar yacho kamocha. You should love your friend as yourself. Rayach, Uncle says chaver. Reya, in Hebrew, modern Hebrew, Biblical Hebrew, Reya, chaver is the lower level. The classical Hebrew, how do you say, ain't it good to know you got a friend? How do you say friend in classical Hebrew even today? Reya. How's Reya spelled? Reish Ayin. Reya is spelled Reish Ayin. Reyach or Reya. Reya means friend in Hebrew. But Reish Ayin also means what? Evil, Knievel. Now, there are no dots like in the Torah scroll. The word Reya, there are no dots in the Torah scroll. The word Reya is the same word as what? Ra. Isn't it strange, says Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zechat Tzaddik Livracha, not Shlita, Zechat Tzaddik Livracha, that the same word for friend is the same word for what? Evil. Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah.
No, says the Holy Rebbe. That Lubavitcher Rebbe Zatzal. Why is the same word for friend the same word as evil? Reya means friend, Ra means evil. The same word, Reishayin. Said Lubavitcher Rebbe, our idea, Avi, the tafkid of the Jew is to take his evil inside of him and what? Make it your friend. Take the evil one, your sexual desire, and turn it into a friend. Channel it, control it, elevate it.
Amazing.
Isn't that incredible? That's the tafkid of a Yidel. Even Moses couldn't see it. Stuck in the box. You ladies had to teach holy Moses a lesson. Marat Hatzavot. This Sunday is my son's yortzeit. So I'm having a special shiur. I appreciate if you would come this Sunday at 2 o'clock. My son's yortzeit at 2 o'clock here at the OU. It's called Can We Revive the Dead? Give you some secret how to revive a dead person. I'm not joking. Sunday at 2 o'clock. Can we revive the dead? I hope to see you here, my son's yortzeit. Thank you. Shabbat shalom.